Hello, welcome back to Rockanory. I'm Zoë Howe and thank you for watching today's video. It's been quite a long time since I've recorded a Rockanory video, so if you have been waiting for me to post up a rock and roll snippet from a fine music book, then I apologise, but hopefully today will make up for it because I'm going to read a bit from a really great book. They're all great books, of course, featured on Rockanory. They're all recommended, but this is a special one, and also it's a beautiful day out there, and I'm proving my dedication to Rockanory by staying in and reading from a fantastic book to you. So hopefully that makes up for the probably about a year of nothing on Rockanory. So anyway, I'm going to read a bit from this lovely book, Ian Dury. It's Will Birch's biography of Ian Dury. It came out a few years ago on Sidgwick and Jackson, not Sedgwick, but Sidgwick, and that's part of the Macmillan group. And as always, there'll be a link underneath this video showing you where you can get this book if you haven't got it already. The reason I chose to sort of have a bit of a kind of Dury blockheads themed Rockanory is because it's been a kind of blockheady week, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. We had the brilliant launch of Ian Dury More Than Fair at the Royal College of Art, organised by Ian's daughter Jemima. It's an absolutely brilliant exhibition of Ian's artwork, and I can definitely recommend, of course, that you go to that. That's on till September, I think. And also, then a couple of days after the launch, we had Norman Watroy's launch of his solo album, Faith and Grace, Cockney Rhyming Slang for Bass. It's out now. It was a brilliant launch, and I can definitely recommend that album. It's out on Cadiz Music. Cadiz, some of you will know, made the fantastic Dr. Feelgood film, Oil City Confidential, Julian Temple's film, and they also put out the book that I worked on with Wilko Johnson, Looking Back at Me. So yes, Cadiz. Hurrah for Cadiz. So I'm going to read a little bit from the middle of this this book. This is 1977, so we're about to hear a little bit about the now legendary Stiff Records tour. High Wycombe, October 1977. It was the opening night of the Stiff's Greatest Stiffs tour, featuring quick-fire sets from Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe, Reckless Eric, Larry Wallace and Ian Dury, and what was intended to be a revolving bill as the tour progressed. Every act, claimed Stiff, was a potential headliner. Ian was firing up the audience at the town hall with his tales from the modern music hall. I'm from Essex, in case you couldn't tell. My given name is Dickie. I come from Billericay, and I'm doing very well. The fans winked and nudged as he regaled them with his tales of a love affair with Nina in the back of his Cortina. They gazed in awe at this East End geezer who'd sprung from nowhere to sing about sex and drugs and rock and roll, and they scrambled on the floor in an attempt to collect the song's button badges that publicist B.P. Fallon threw from the stage like heavy confetti. Actually, Ian had two audiences that night, the paying customers out front and his own band on stage. It was the first time that the blockheads, other than Davy and Chaz, had witnessed him working a crowd. I wasn't ready for his performance, says Mickey Gallagher. It was phenomenal. He couldn't really sing, but he had the chocolate tones and the great verbal. He put a lot of work into his performance, with the coat over the Hawaiian shirt and the striped vest underneath that. We'd never experienced that kind of theatricality before. In an early interview, I said Ian's the perfect frontman, thinking I was praising him, but he gave me shit. How dare you call me a frontman? He was really offended by it. The High Wycombe crowd wasn't to know that their town was such a resonant setting for Ian. 18 years earlier, he'd concluded his secondary education at the nearby Royal Grammar School, where he was repeatedly beaten by prefects and was once knocked out by his headmaster. Now he was back, co-headlining a national rock tour with Stiff's other not-so-young hopefuls. Elvis Costello, yet to break through on the pop charts, adopted a confrontational stance from the get-go, alienating the audience by refusing to perform his better-known songs. Ian, in contrast, formed an immediate bond with the crowd. A useful sprinkling of original Kilburn's fans down the front acted as his trusted rabble-rousers. Dury just slayed them, recalls Cosmo Vinyl. Wallop, he couldn't put a foot wrong. It was obvious on the first night that Ian was a force to be reckoned with. Behind the scenes, Ian came up against several strong personalities, notably the powerful alliance of Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe and their manager Jake Riviera. All three were verbally adept, but Riviera was a motor mouth of staggering oral agility. Not only would he yell fearlessly at security men twice his size, he would also incorporate a slick joke for the benefit of onlookers. At once, Ian recognised that he was not the only wheel on the bus, although new boots had started to pick up sales. Reluctant to be drawn into backstage rows, he adopted a low profile and conserved his energies for the nightly performance. Carefully avoiding the Costello-Riviera axis, he would spend time with Denise Rudette, or, if their relationship was going through a rocky patch, the Blockheads. With their confidence growing, Ian and his band took advantage of any downtime to analyse the previous evening's set and make small improvements. At the start of each performance, Ian would urge the Blockheads to hit the stage running. "Don't walk, run," he would shout from the wings, before making his own slow and purposeful entrance. The stiff tour would stretch Ian's manipulative powers to the full. His objective was to emerge as the star ahead of Costello, which he sought to achieve by contriving to close as many of the shows as possible. This was only possible because Ian was able to exploit a weakness in Stiff's revolving bill concept. Although it was the label's intention for its stars to alternate as headliners, Nick Lowe and Reckless Eric were reluctant bill toppers, leaving Costello and Dury to slog it out. Through a succession of shrewd manoeuvres, such as demanding a break after playing the drums in Reckless Eric's band, thus pushing his own set later into the running order, Ian would win on points. A key incident occurred 2 weeks into the tour at the University of East Anglia. Elvis was perturbed, recalls Ian's minder Fred Rowe. Ian was going down better than him, and Dave Robinson wanted Ian to close the shows. Jake Riviera, who was Elvis's manager, started on Ian, threatening him with the verbal, "But you can't do that with Ian, he'll slaughter you. Jake's good, but Ian..." This was winding Jake up even more. I said, "Hold on, Jake, leave it out, what are you getting all excited about?" Jake says to Ian, "I see, you're all right ranting when you've got your monkey with you," referring to me. I was getting wound up, so I backed off before it got nasty. Ian later gave me his side of the story. It got really sticky. Jake was screaming at hall porters, bullying people and being obnoxious. I said, "Jake, come outside for a minute, I want a word with you." And Fred said, "Yeah, come on, Jake." And Jake started yelling and protesting vehemently. Costello got up and said, "Look out, Jake's in trouble." Cosmo said, "Sit down, Elvis, there's nothing you can do about it if he is." We went outside and Jake said, "I know, Ian, you're going to fuck my mind with the verbals, then Spider's going to beat me up." I said, "No, Jake, all we were going to say was that we want to keep it all smashing." Rowe and Riviera never came to blows, but their showdown was a turning point for Ian, establishing him as a powerful force on the tour and emboldening him for future outings. He could now get away with murder because Fred Rowe would always be there to protect him. He knew he could go a bit further than he normally went, says Fred. Ian was a pacifist, but he wanted to be a tough guy, a gangster. He told me, "If I hadn't have been the way I am, I would have become a hard nut." I said, "Yes, I suppose you would, Ian." As the stiff track continued, Ian inched his way towards headline status. When Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll was adopted as the tour's anthem and nightly closing routine, his aims were achieved. Although Costello put up a fight with incendiary performances of new songs such as Watching the Detectives and Lipstick Vogue, it was Ian who emerged as the people's hero. He was very competitive, confirms co-manager Andrew King. He went to endless lengths to ensure that he did better than Elvis, and calculated that if Elvis agreed to alternate the headline, it would be Ian's turn when the tour hit London. He had it in the bag. I'm going to leave it there, but I hope you enjoyed that. It was, of course, Ian Dury's biography written by Will Birch. And yeah, take a look at the other Rockanory videos if you so desire. And it's very nice to have your company with me today. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned and don't go changing.